Alright, so this is the answer to the question. Um, this person said he's a black belt in karate, been doing it for 4 years, and he also practices Wing Chun Kung Fu, and he likes it more than karate. But he says that he has a problem with the karate instructor because he says, basically, the karate instructor teaches him these katas and says they will work against 5 to 6 attackers easily, and he will be safe. And he says that he feels like he's being misled by his instructor. He's asking, should I leave him? Because he says that he's loading him up his head with a lot of wrong ideas, which are not going to work in real life. Um, I mean, you've been with an instructor for 4 years. I think it's, you know, it just depends on how well you get along with your instructor, if you get a good connection with them. I'm not going to say to leave or to stay. I'm just going to say that it's about the connection. If you got a special connection with somebody, then I think you should value it. If the connection fades away, then you just gotta follow your heart. But basically the idea I want to speak about, mainly the topic about like um, fighting against 5 to 6 opponents at the same time. Um, Realistically, um, a lot of the stuff that are demonstrated in the movies just simply do not work. Only under certain circumstances, I would say. Um, if it's you and you have a gun and you gotta fight against 5 to 6 people that don't have guns, you clearly easily take them all out, no problem. You could take 30 of them out. It depends on how much ammo you have. If you have a knife, same thing. If you have a nunchuck, same thing. If you have any weapon pretty much that you're proficient with and you're fighting against 5 to 6 people that have no weapons, there's a good chance that you could take them all out. Um, but as far as unarmed combat is concerned, if a lot of it is about skill and a lot of it is also about weight. If the people are bigger than you, then you may have you're gonna have a huge problem. I'd say that you know realistically, if somebody's a big person and he could fight, and say he weighs like 250 pounds, and then he's fighting against 5 to 6 people that are 100 pounds, he could easily take them all out because weight makes a big difference. But if you got a person that's 100 pounds, and then there's 5 to 6 people that are trying to hurt him, and they're over 200 pounds, all of them, he's gonna he's gonna get he's gonna have a huge problem. He's gonna get destroyed unless he has a weapon. Unarmed combat. The realistic aspect of it is size makes a huge difference. Skill level is important, but when it comes to unarmed combat, size is really really important. So in Bruce Lee's movies, he kind of highlighted what could potentially really happen. I mean, he's a small person, but he could take out 5 to 6 people by himself if all those people are skinny, weak, smaller than him. But he wouldn't be able to take out, even Bruce Lee wouldn't be able to take out big, 5 to 6 big people unless he had a weapon. You know, he highlighted it in those movies. When he'd fight like a lot of different people, a lot of people that don't know anything about martial arts, he would whoop them all up, when they're all smaller than him. But then when there's way too many people, then he'll pull out a nunchuck or pull out some other weapon. When he'd fight against somebody who's skilled, he'd be one-on-one with them. Um, you just can't do it. I mean, look at these boxers, they fight for a living. Even just fighting one other person, they're having huge problems. They gotta go 12 rounds and they can't even handle them. So imagine fighting 5 and 6 of them, not just one by one, but all at the same time. you just can't do it. It's pretty much like football, like you got a running back who's super fast and strong, but then the whole team is trying to tackle him. And imagine if he had no defenders that are nobody on helping him to try to prevent these people from tackling him. Imagine it's just one football player against six football players that are huge and fast as well. And he has no blockers, no nothing. He's just gonna get tackled and destroyed. That's just the reality of it. Um, you know, and then also even basketball. Imagine, okay, you're so great at basketball. Okay, say you're LeBron James, you're great, but say it's just it's just LeBron James against six other people that are also pretty good at basketball. He's gonna get destroyed. He just can't handle six people. Numbers make a huge difference. Weight makes a huge difference. Skill makes a difference. All these factors are, they're important. But if you got somebody who's like a small person, say Bruce Lee 5'7" or me 5'5", even Mayweather, small person weighing 140 pounds, 145 pounds, and he's fighting a bunch of like, you know, 10-year-olds, he could take out, they could take out 5, 6, 10-year-olds, no problem. But if you're talking about fighting adults that all weigh 200 pounds or more, and there's six of them, and there's only you, and you have no weapons, you're not gonna make it. That's the reality of it. Because all they gotta do basically is just converge on you and tackle you, and then you're done. And it's essentially that's what the police do to criminals. There's like 6 of them, 10 of them that just gang up on one person, and there's really nothing you could do. If anything, if there's 5, 6 people, and they're all 200 pounds, you're not gonna be able to fight them head on. But what you could do is maybe outrun them all, you know. And there's a good potential for that, because if you're smaller, you might be faster, and you might have more endurance. And then as they're trying to chase you, they're just gonna get tired. But fighting them all at once, I mean, the stuff that they see in the movie, the stuff that they try to show you in the movies is a bunch of, nonsense. Is bullshit, a lot of it. But like I said, if you got a weapon, you'll take them all out. If you're skilled with the weapon, you could take them all out. Gun, knife, baton, sword, whatever weapon is, but you could potentially take them all out. But I think a lot of times people that practice the martial arts, and they don't see the reality of what real life is. They just it's like they're living in a fantasy. They think that just because they're a good boxer, that they could just beat up anybody. It doesn't work that way. You know, there's guns out there, and people don't follow rules, and they don't care about weight classes. They don't care about age differentiations. They don't care about anything. They don't care about you being ready to fight. They just want to hurt you. They want to kill you. They want to, they're angry at you, and there are no rules, and you know, you got to be prepared to handle whatever situation. Essentially, if you ever are in a situation where 5 or 6 people want to hurt you, hopefully you got your gun on you. Hopefully you got a knife. Hopefully maybe you got some brass knuckles, or a baton, or just some other weapon to survive that situation. Um, you got to be ready for it. I mean, even Bruce Lee in his movies, when he can't handle it, he draws out his nunchucks. That's kind of like in modern day, somebody who's getting jumped by too many people just draws out his gun. You know what I mean? You got to be prepared for it. Like, whatever happens, you got to be ready. If the person's got a gun, then you got to draw your gun. If the person's got a knife, you draw your knife. Or just draw your gun. He draws a knife, you draw a gun. Like in real street combat, there's no respect for rules, and they just do whatever they want to do. So you got to be prepared to do whatever you got to do to survive the situation. As far as katas are concerned and forms, I mean, that's a part of my curriculum. I love practicing them as well, and it's interesting. It's fun, but the way that I do it, it's very apparent. You know, because I created these forms. Like the people that practice it, they will know exactly why we're practicing it and what we're doing it for, and the purpose behind it all. I think a lot of these traditional styles, um, the teachers of these traditional styles are so far away from the creator that they don't even understand these forms and what it's for, and that the purpose behind them. you know and then it's kind of hard for people to practice certain things when they don't really understand the purpose behind it. It could be demotivating for certain people. Some people may not be into the forms, but I definitely have learned to appreciate them. It's like a certain challenge for my mind, and um, also like it, it changes things up, you know, and like it gives you the opportunity to grow creatively as well. And it's just a fun way to um to express yourself as an artist. But that's mainly for me, because I'm creating the forms. But if you're practicing somebody else's forms that they're trying to show you, or some system, and you're not connected to those forms, then it could be very demotivating. It's almost like you're into rap music, but then somebody's trying to force you to enjoy country music, and you can't feel it. It's not your rhythm. It's not something that you're drawn to, and then eventually you just can't stand it anymore. It's like a style of dress. Like you like to dress a certain way, and then somebody's trying to make you wear clothes that you don't want to wear. It's like a stylistic issue. And I see that's what the problem with a lot of these forums are, is people are doing stuff where to them it's not appealing. It doesn't look right. It doesn't feel right. It looks silly. It's so far away from who they are as a person that they just don't want to do it. And I think that's the problem. It's not that forms are bad. It's just that you might not be practicing the forms that really you're naturally drawn to. And these forms are not for everybody. Some of these forms can seem and look so ridiculous that you would be embarrassed to practice that stuff in public, because it's just so silly, and you don't even know what you're doing. It's like you're like better off just dancing, break dancing, or whatever, because you really do not understand what you're doing at all. And I think that becomes a demotivating factor for a lot of people out there. So I could definitely understand for people that don't want to practice forms, because it's not your creation and it's not something that you're drawn to. But as for myself, creating my own forms, teaching my own forms, it's I've learned to really appreciate it and value it as a very beneficial way of sharing my art. And but those are my thoughts on you know defending yourself against multiple attackers and stuff like that. I have a very realistic approach to it, and it's very straightforward. And if you pay attention to what happens in sports, as far as football is concerned, and wrestling and boxing, you'll see it. Like the reality of it. I mean, how can one boxer take down six other boxers that are at his level? It's just not gonna happen. If you got an Olympic boxer that's fighting like a bunch of six amateur boxers, then there's a possibility he might be able to take them all out. But if you got people all at a high level, six of them trying to come at you and hurt you, and you don't have any weapons, you're gonna get destroyed. That's the reality of it. This is not. You're not like Wolverine or Spider-Man or Superman where you got these special powers and then you can just knock everybody out with one hit. That's not how it works. Especially if somebody's like super heavyweight, there's no way you're gonna knock them out with just one hit. But if they weigh significantly less than you, somebody's 250 pounds and he's fighting against six people that are 100 pounds, yeah, one punch, one kick from this big guy to all these small guys it could break him. He could kill the person in one punch. But the other way around doesn't work that way. The other way around is not that simple. For 100-pound person to knock out somebody that's 200 pounds, you can't just hit him one time. You're gonna have to hit him a lot of times. If you got six of those individuals coming at you, you're not gonna be able to handle them. But if you got a gun, then that's a different story. So that's just my feedback on that.